People, this is Ross, fig lovers. You found the right video because I want to tell you guys two important things that I think are immensely important to growing figs. And you can see here along the house, we have my recent fig tree planting, and one of the things that I like to do with my figs is I don't like to water them. I don't water them at all. Anything that's in the ground here, you can see, I don't water ever. And just by mulching a little bit here in this climate, we get 40 inches of rain every year. It's hard to kill things, guys, here, and I just don't water. It's unnecessary. We don't need that much water. And in the fig tree's case, if you overwater, you will actually decrease the fruit quality of the fig. And here's how this works, right? So the fig here is going to absorb water through its roots. It's going to uptake that water. It's going to go up the trunk. Some of that water is going to be stored in the trunk because what? Figs are what? A subtropical species that is grown and originated in the desert. We're in a temperate zone, almost close to the opposite. I guess the opposite of desert would be tropical, like a rainforest. But we're, I guess, halfway between desert and rainforest here. Things don't die here, guys. We have lots of water, and all that water, like I said, is being stored in the trunk. They're kind of like cacti, guys. They love to store water in their leaves, in their branches, in their trunks. And all that water that then gets released through the leaves, through transpiration, just like any other tree, guys. Some of that is then stored in the figs. So you can see here, guys, I had pinched. This is a process called pinching, where you pinch off the tip. And then you get new figs that form. We have a fig here on the left and a new branch coming in on the right. Same thing on this node back here. Here's the fig. So now we have figs forming, guys, at this time of the year. We're in June. And now if you were watering, it's time to stop, because all that water is then going to now go into these little figlets over time throughout the 90-day process of this little figlet here. 90 days from now, that little figlet will be ripe. And in that process of 90 days, any excess water, some of that is going to be stored in the fig itself and significantly decrease the brix, the fruit quality, the sugar content, the sugar intensity, you name it. The flavor of the fig is going to diminish greatly, I promise you. So what I like to do for things that are not in the ground, you know, because I have lots of containers, guys. You've seen these all before. My containers, I have to water them. They're not in the ground here. We have clay-like soil in the ground that absorbs lots of water, that holds lots of water. Plus we have 40 inches of rain. That's not the case here with my figs in containers. They get access to a lot more heat. There's a lot more transpiration that's happening here. We have to water them, but I water them just enough, guys, to keep them alive and to keep them healthy. Anything excess, more than that, you're going to lose fruit quality, I promise you. To drive this point home, just one more point about this. My friend Bass, who's from Lebanon, he lives in Pennsylvania. He has a nursery here. I was just at his place. He grows all kinds of figs just like I do. He's been growing figs longer than I have. And in his homeland of Lebanon, he goes there quite frequently. And there's two different types of figs that they sell there in the Lebanon markets, the Lebanese markets. And there's one type of fig that's grown commercially. There's a name for it. So there's the figs that are grown commercially, that are cultivated there. And then there's other figs that are grown wild, that people pick off wild trees, bring them to market and sell them. And there's a particular name for that. I don't remember what the name is. Bass, if you're listening, help me out. Put it in the comments. But he was telling me about this at his house this past gathering that he did in the end of May, Labor Day weekend. And he was telling me that everybody there loves the wild figs more than the cultivated figs. And the exact reason for that is clear, guys. Water. The wild figs are off on their own, doing their own thing. Nobody goes out in the wild and waters fig trees, guys. Nobody goes out in the wild in the forest and waters trees in the forest, you know, but these cultivated varieties that are commercialized, those are watered. And therefore the fruit quality is significantly less, and Bass knows this, and he doesn't eat the commercialized varieties, guys. So that's my lesson there on watering. The second lesson I have here is on ripening your figs. So this is, I guess, common sense, but I want to really drive this point home. The longer we let our figs ripen, the better they're going to taste. In most cases, the more sugar content they're going to have. So this is my cherry tree here. One of my cherries. This is a Bing cherry. So it gets very dark. You can see the other cherries over here. They're a darker color. But you can see these two down here. I want to show you specifically. The one on the left is not even red yet. It's getting there. This one is red. It's still not perfect though. This one should be almost a dark purple, right? To have the intensity and the right amount of sugar quality that I'm looking for as a home gardener, right? The commercial grower needs to pick these somewhat early, right? Most fruits, but we are home gardeners, guys, and we can pick them at any stage that we want. So, as an example, the one on the left is just not going to taste nearly as good as the one on the right. It's just a fact of life. And that goes for figs as well, guys. We want to make sure that our figs are ripening a long enough period of time. And a couple tools I use to get them to that stage here. This is an organza bag. This is what I put over top of the figs, just like I had them over top of the cherries here. You can see them. These will protect the fruits from critters, from birds and from squirrels, whatever it is, you name it. They'll be protected. This stuff here is pretty dirty athletic tape, or it's some kind of bandage. This is like an ace bandage here. And what I like to do with this stuff is it's kind of stretchy, it sticks well. So I'll cut off a piece of this here, and then I'll put that on the eye of the fig sometimes, right on the eye there. And that will prevent any kind of insect from entering the eye or maybe spoiling the fig, any moisture from getting in the fig. It really does help. So these are two tools here, guys, that I like to use to get my figs to ripen longer, because I really understand the benefits of letting my figs ripen longer. With any fruit, guys, here's an example of how far I like to go with this. So let's use this tree as an example. This is a tree here called Frigola Nera. I've never tasted a Frigola Nera fig in my life. This is a new variety. I don't know what I'm doing with it. We're gonna taste it though and see if I really enjoy it. I think it has a lot of potential, but we have to find out, right? So as an example here, this is a fig that is pretty close to starting to swell. So it'll swell here probably in another 2 weeks. And from that point on, it'll get bigger, the skin will get softer, and we can then pick it. Now, I like to wait this is a variety that I've never tried before. I like to wait as long as humanly possible. And I'll do this in stages. So as an example, say this fig was swelling today. It just started to turn color. It just started to get bigger. It just started to get softer. I'll wait 7 days before I pick this fig. I'll pick it at 7 days. I'll eat it and say, oh, you know what? I like it, but I think it could be better. So then I'll move on to the next fig, this one right here. Let's say this one ripens second. So this one will ripen second, and I said, you know what? At 7 days it's good, but I'm not too happy with it. So I'll wait 10 days. Eat it. If I'm satisfied, then I'll pick the rest of these at 10 days and eat those at 10 days. Then we have the next fig. If I'm not satisfied, I'll pick this one at 13 days. And I'll just keep going until I am fully satisfied and fully enjoy this variety. Now, with any variety, any new variety, I believe it's important to let that variety go as long as humanly possible. So I'll go from 7 to 10 to 13 to 16 to 19 to 22 to infinite until that fig looks like it's about to start to go moldy on me. Now, I haven't had too many figs go moldy on me. I've had more problems with SWD that prevent them from getting to a moldy point. But I'm usually pretty good about spotting a fig and saying, okay, that fig's about to get moldy. This is the absolute last day that I have to pick this fig before it drops on the ground and turns to mush. And you get to learn a lot about your varieties that way, guys. You get to taste some really interesting flavors that you normally wouldn't have had the chance to because they didn't develop in time. So at 7 days, you get a whole bunch of flavors. At 10 days, you get all those flavors plus some. At 13 days, you get all those flavors plus even more. You know, each day that goes by is so significant in terms of figs. It is unbelievable, guys. I'm telling you. It's a strange fruit, right? This isn't like certain fruits that you could eat and then probably a month later you could still eat it, right? This is a fruit where you have a small window of harvest that each day is so significant, and each day increases the brix so significantly that you would almost be hurting yourself not to wait that extra couple days or that extra day. So that's, in my mind, two of the most important things. And I want to give you guys one more example about ripening your figs before I let you guys go here. So this is a variety here called Suadi, and Suadi is a Middle Eastern fig that I got from Bass, actually. And this is really just an average fig. There's nothing really that great about it. If I were to pick this at 7 days from swelling, it's not that good. If I were to pick it maybe even 10 days from swelling, it's getting there, but it's still not perfect. This is a fig that I picked in very wet conditions here in September last year that dried on the tree. And I would have never figured that out, guys, if I didn't let the figs go as long as humanly possible. And by drying them on the tree, this fig that's just average, just an okay tasting fig, turned into something that was like, whoa, right? So that's my advice here. Another example. This is a tree called White Triana, very similar. You can tell by the leaf pattern here. It's very similar to figs like Latarola, Lyndhurst White, Canadria, Atriano. Very, very similar fig. Lots of people complain about this fig and don't like it. This is one of the more underrated fig varieties in the entire fig community, where we have hundreds of varieties that we talk about. And this is one of the more underrated because people love to pick this fig too early. I wait 2 whole weeks before I pick this fig. It swells, and I wait 2 whole weeks because the fig actually will engorge itself with so much honey that it starts seeping out of the skin. There's honey seeping out of the skin, at the cracks of the skin, to the point where the entire thing is like a glob of honey, guys. Don't believe me? Go look at my Suadi videos that I did last year. Go look at my Canadria breba video that was the size of a tennis ball. Go look at those 2 videos, because those 2 videos show you the exact fruit quality that I'm talking about that I would have never gotten if I had picked it 5 days earlier, 3 days earlier, 7 days earlier. So that's the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that the flavors can significantly change. Just everything about it. The skin can become softer. There can be more honey. You can have more complexity to it. You know, White Triana gets that berry flavor to it that you normally wouldn't get at 7 days. So that's my advice, guys. And I think if you wait long enough, you don't water your figs in excess, you're going to be wowed. You're going to be a fig addict for real, to the point where you're going to be doing what I'm doing here. Maybe not to this crazy extent, but you're going to be blown away, guys, at the fruit quality. And yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you for the next one. If you enjoyed it, Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.